So good evening, everyone. My name is Greg Cunningham. I'm from the Boston Archdiocese and one of the co-chairs of Speech. I'm joined also by Dave Yastrzemski, who is also one of the co-chairs of Speech, and Tom Beck, who is an officer with the NCFL, who's going to be taking over for me as soon as I talk about logistics. So thank you for taking time out. We determined actually during COVID that doing this the week of instead of the morning of was a lot more convenient and gets us started a little bit earlier. And the first thing I will tell you is those of you who have judged before and those of you who judge at your local tournaments, Speech is starting a little bit earlier on Saturday for preliminary rounds than it normally does. In all events except for Extemp, round one is at 8 a.m. and the round one for Extemp is at 8:30 a.m. The reason for that is that we do have a hard end time on the day because of the sites that we are using. All of the sites except for the Extemp site, which is at the Palmer House, we have to be completely vacated by 5:30 p.m. So we have adjusted the schedule accordingly to make sure that we can absolutely be out of those sites. As always, that doesn't mean you have to have all of your comments in by 5:30. You can go back to your hotel and continue to write comments for any of the rounds during the day on Saturday. But we would ask you to make sure before you leave the site to have all of your ranks turned in, and also to please make sure that you're turning those ranks in round by round. So make sure before you leave the room in round one, submit your ranks. Same thing for 2, 3, 4. I'm going to share my screen real quick here and just show you, and it does have a little bit more information on there as well, but I wanted to make sure, I know most people are aware that we are divided into really 3 sites, Extemp, OO, and Declamation at one site, Duo, DP, and OI at the second site. But we are also subdivided within those groups. Extemp will be exclusively at the Palmer House, OO at Roosevelt University, Declamation will be at Columbia College, Duo will be at East West University, and DP and OI will be at Jones College Prep. I can tell you that all of that information is on the NCFL Nationals website, and I actually do want to just show you real quickly because what they have on the website, as soon as I get there, what they have on the website is phenomenal to help you find things. So this is what you'll see when you go to the sites on the website. It actually shows you the place, Columbia College, what event is there, and a picture of where you're going so that you actually know for sure that you are at the right place. So each of the sites has this on the website, which is ncflnationals.org. And I think that will be really helpful as you're working your way around. In order to facilitate the rounds and to make it as easy on you folks as possible, we have grouped your assignments. You will have the same event to judge in rounds 1 and 2. Then there's the break for lunch. And then you will have 2 different rounds, two different events to judge in rounds 3 and 4. So if you think about it in these terms, the morning assignments are bundled together for rounds 1 and 2. There's the break for lunch, and then the afternoon assignments are bundled together for rounds 3 and 4. So that means for when you are traveling from place to place, you'll be in the same building in the morning for rounds 1 and 2. You'll go pick up your lunch, which hopefully the coaches of your school ordered for you, or you'll grab lunch on your own. And then when you go for the afternoon, you'll be in a different building, most likely, not a guarantee, but most likely in a different building for a different event for rounds 3 and 4. And again, all of these sites are on ncflnationals.org. They will also be on the Google Doc that gets published on Friday. And we'll have all of that information there for you. Where this is really important to understand is if you have a round off, which many of you do during the course of the day. As you know, sometimes judges are running late, sometimes they get sick, sometimes they just disappear. And we have to replace judges a little bit on the fly during the day and before the round can begin. If you're not aware, there are 3 judges in every single section, so it is important that you don't start any round until all 3 judges are there. And I always say to please confirm that the other 2 adults in the room are actually judges, because they are allowed to have observers, and you don't want to assume that someone in the room is a judge when they're actually just sitting there observing. So please speak to someone and to make sure that all 3 judges are there. If we are missing a judge, we do have room checkers that will be coming around. They're going to look at every single room to make sure that you have the judges that you should have. The good news about that is that the system that we have implemented is if you're missing a judge, you don't need to text the tab room to tell us you are missing a judge. We're going to figure that out pretty quickly, looking at tab room as to who has checked in and who has not checked in, and the checkers who are physically going to go to every room. Now, if it's the start time of the round, you have all 3 judges, you have your competitors, feel free to start even if a checker has not come to your room. The checker will see outside the room that the judges, that the round has started, will understand that you've already ensured that all 3 judges are there. So you don't need to wait for a checker before you start your round. Feel free to start. It's going to take them a little bit of time to get to somewhere between 30 and 35 rooms. They'll start that early. With that in mind, we would ask everyone to please arrive in your room 10 minutes before the scheduled start of the round. So if the round is at 8 o'clock, please plan on getting there at 7:50. And as the day progresses, to get there 10 minutes early. That'll help make sure that things are moving along. If you're missing a student and it's time to start the round, feel free to please start the round. Hopefully that student will come along. They may have got lost. They may be running late from a previous round. Admit them when they come in and try to have them speak as close to the order as you possibly can when they come in. So let me go back to standby judges. There will be at every single site a standby room. So if you have a round off, I would ask you to please go to the standby room that is associated with your other bundled event. I don't know how to put that any easier. If you are assigned, say, to Extemp in round 1 and you are off in round 2, please go to the Extemp standby room for round 2. If you are assigned to Declamation in round 4 and you are off round 3, please go to the Declamation standby room in round 3. We are going to publish a judge chart on Friday afternoon, so you'll know what we anticipate your judging assignment will be, and you'll also be able to figure out what standby room you are supposed to be in. The one exception to all of this, of course, there has to be an exception, is dramatic performance and oral interpretation. Those 2 events are combined, and they will also have a combined standby room. So DP and OI, or at least in terms of how the logistics are working, really are at the same site, same building. So if you are assigned to either DP or OI, and you have an off round with that in the morning, and your other event in the morning is DP or OI, you're going to go to the DP OI combined lounge standby room for judges. Again, we will have all of this on the Google Doc that gets published on Friday. We'll have what those standby rooms are on the Google Doc as well. I know the Chicago folks were still tweaking a little bit with the sites because they wanted to make sure that you folks had a room that was at least comfortable. And once we know that all of the rounds have started and we won't need any more standby judges, the person in that room will announce, we are all set for this round. We'll release you. You're welcome to go get a cup of coffee, to go wander around, to go welcome to stay in the room, or find a quiet corner to do whatever you need to do. So once we know that all the rounds have begun, as we usually do, we will dismiss the judges from those standby rooms. So that's the most important logistic, I think, and I think the one place where we could run into trouble with people not sure as to where they're supposed to go. Again, you can always check into the standby room and say, this is what I have next round, or this is what I had last round, depending on what round it is. and see if you're in the right place. And if you're not, they'll be able to direct you to the room that you need to go to. The sites are not particularly far apart. They were just far enough that we didn't feel comfortable asking you to judge extemp in round one, declamation in round two, go back to extemp, and then go to, they were just far enough apart for us to say, yeah, that's a lot of walking, that's a lot of time that they would need. So that was why the decision was made to bundle them together, to try to make your lives just a little bit easier, and hopefully keep things running smoothly and keep things running on time. So from a logistical standpoint, that's the most important part. There will be a shuttle bus that runs, it literally runs from the Hilton to the Palmer House and then back to the Hilton, because the DPOI Duo site is very close to the Hilton, downtown Hilton, and the DEC 00, what am I missing? Extemp site, Extemp is in the Palmer House, Declamation and Original Oratory are very close to the Palmer House. So if you're at a hotel that is not at your site, it's a 15 to 20-minute walk. If you're at the opposite site, you can jump on a shuttle bus if you want to. It honestly might be quicker, and if you're able to actually just walk. The last weather forecast that I saw for Saturday looks a lot better than it did earlier in the week. It looks like the rain is going to hold off Saturday, with possible showers on Sunday, and more rain on Monday. Of course, that could change. It's Chicago, but right now we're hoping, as people are walking around on Saturday, that we won't have to deal with any rain. I know there have been some things coming in the chat, and I think Dave has been answering those. So logistically, that's really what I wanted to make sure that you understood, and hopefully we'll be able to find your way around and not have to be wandering too far during the course of the day. So I am going to now say, if you understand those logistics, if you feel good about that, and again, knowing that one, this video will be posted on ncflnationals.org. I think tomorrow, Frank, it'll be up. And if you need to go back and watch again, just to really, so that it sinks in, feel free. We will do, and again, this is completely optional, and it's really for people who are watching this, who are watching the recording right now, that may not have a chance to ask a live question. On Friday evening, we will have what we're calling an optional Q&A for speech judges, and there will be one at each hotel. There'll be a Q&A location at the Hilton. There'll be a Q&A room location at the Palmer House. That will happen at 8 p.m. on Friday evening. It really won't be a full briefing. It will really just be an opportunity to come down and get some clarification or to ask some questions. So if you're watching this on the recording right now and you have some questions that have not been addressed, that would be the best time for you to drop in and be able to do that. Again, it is an optional session. So if you're set and you don't have any questions, you absolutely do not need to come. I'll send out an email. I'm on my way to Chicago tomorrow, so probably tomorrow afternoon. And in that email, I will indicate where those rooms are in the Hilton and the Palmer House for you to be able to drop by and ask those questions. And also post a link to this video, which we'll send out by email to everyone as well. So that's logistically what we needed to share with you. And again, if you still have questions, Dave is handling those in the chat. Feel free. If you are good and you feel comfortable and you don't need to stay for the discussion about NCFL speech events, feel free to log off at this time, as we promised you could. And I'm going to turn things over to Tom Beck to talk about the events.
Hello. Again, I see a lot of good questions in the chat that are happening. I'm thinking Frank are handling those. The live docs are not available yet. They will be Friday, and that's where we will update all information throughout the tournament. All right. I do see many familiar faces and names, which is great. Some of you have heard my spiel. I think it's made the national tour at this point, but I was just going to go through the different categories of NCFL Some of you probably could do it better than I could, given the years that you've been doing this. But I always think it's a good idea just before the tournament to refresh ourselves about the events themselves and what the rules are for NCFL, because they do differ from other leagues in some instances. Couple of things. First is thank you. Thank you for judging. We could not do this without our judges. It would be literally impossible. So we thank you for being here and for being here in Chicago this weekend. We do have in speech 3 judges in each room. And we really want you, as Greg said, to make sure that the 3 judges are there before you start. Now, sometimes it's a curse. I'll walk in a room and the kids will be like, "Oh, are you doing declamation? You look so young." So adorable, the children. And I have to say, no, I am a judge, or I am, Mr. Beck, or whatever it might be. So don't assume someone is a judge, right? So just make sure that you have all 3 before you start, because we don't want to have to rerun around for the kids. The other thing is, there are 3 of you in the room, but you should not confer, right? Everyone is going to have their own rankings individually, and they're going to have their own comments. You should not speak to each other and come to consensus. That's not what this is about. It's objective subjectivity and subjective objectivity, as Sister Ramon always told me. So you each have your own ranks and your own comments. We really would ask that you get those ranks in before you leave the room. At this tournament, as Greg said, we have to keep going. Someone in the chat said, "How do I know if I'm judging semis?" We don't know yet. We have to see which kids make it, which diocese they're from. But if you don't put those ranks in at the end of the round, it really does hold things up. As Greg said, you will have time to do your comments. And a lot of people like doing it in Word or a Google Doc and then transferring it over in case tab room glitches. That's a good thing to do. Some of you I know have, saved comments that you like to use for OI or deck that you could put in. That's great, but you have time for the comments. What's most important really is those ranks, okay? One thing, too, I think that should be said is in the NCFL, all events, regardless of the time limit, we do have a 30-second grace period without penalty. I know that's not the case in some regions, but in all the events, there is a 30-second grace period. Once a student goes beyond the 30-second grace period, the rule is they cannot be ranked first. They could be second, they could be third, they could be fourth, but they just can't be first if they exceed that 30 seconds. Now, we know most of our events are 10 minutes, but extemp is 7. So extemp is 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Everything else is 10 minutes and 30 seconds, okay? It's important, too, to remember what Greg said about arriving at the rooms. If you get there 10 minutes before the round starts, that will really help. Also, I think, you are the adult in the room, right? So it's nothing wrong with being polite. Certainly welcome them, take attendance, make sure you've got your speakers, and start. No one is double entered here today at this tournament coming up. But please put all your comments in the ballot. Please do not give oral critiques like, "Wow, you were amazing. That was great." Because that's not how we do it. And the other kids here, "I was terrible." So everything goes on the ballot, okay? Certainly, as I've always taught my New Yorkers, a good judge is a silent judge, right? Smile, nod, welcome, good luck, all right? But everything else you have for feedback is written on that ballot. The kids know, and we know as coaches, you are multitasking. You're going to be typing or writing, whatever you choose to do, while they are speaking. They are used to that, okay? Great. So I'm going to go through each of the categories. Starting with extemporaneous speaking, okay? Extemporaneous speaking is the students will have 1/2 hour, 30 minutes before they get to you to prepare an answer to a question they have been given, okay? They're going to come to you with that question, and they are going to present an answer to you to that question. Not the question they wish they got, but the question they got. Right. And in that, they may have, different points of analysis. There may be an introduction. It should have some structure, obviously. And then how they answer that question, right? Given that these are largely political questions of current events, they may not have the same political point of view, but if you've taken our judge training, you know that we all have biases because we are human beings. We ask that you put those aside at the tournament and just watch what the kid does and listen carefully. How do they do answering this question? All right. The tricky part for extemp, it's kind of one of these things, is to give them time signals. So one of the three judges should be the official timekeeper. That person will then show the passage of time to the student as they wish. So it's a really good idea to ask, how would you like to see the passage of time? Right? So in extemp, it is crucial. The timing is the backbone of their speech. So they are trained and coached to do certain things when it gets to certain times. So if you say, you know what, you're all so adorable, just talk, that will send an extemper into apoplexy. Okay, they want to see the passage of time. So I would ask that you cater and say, how would you like to see the passage of time? Now, my region, most kids like to see 5 down. That means you have 7 minutes after 2 minutes have elapsed. You show them 5, and then 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1, and then 30 seconds, and then 7. They have the fist. And then at 7:30, you just let them know they've got to overtime, 7:30, and then that's the timing. Just make sure that will work for the kid. Why I say that is, at our state tournament, I had someone that was visually impaired and wanted me to knock on the table at each passage of time. They may ask for 3 minutes. Whatever they ask, we ask that you, as judge, try to see how the kid would like to see the passage of time and show it to them as best you can. Okay, that's important with extemp. They are not to have any note cards. They are speaking, extemporaneously on this topic and delivering you the answer to the question. Okay, with supporting details that they've had a half hour before. So that's pretty much extemporaneous speaking. Going there, the next one would be original oratory. God love these students. They have written their own speech. There is no cookie cutter as to what that speech structure has to be. It could be to celebrate. It could be a eulogy. It could be a requiem for someone. It could be a speech to inform or persuade, whatever they would like to do with their time. This is 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, you may say, well, Tom, don't they know how long it is? They wrote it. Right, but if they've had too much Starbucks, they might know they have to be up to the part about grandma by 3 minutes. So they may ask for the passage of time, even though they are the authors. Again, we ask that you cater. Ask, certainly, would you like to see the passage of time? Some OOers will say no, thank you. Some will say yes, and then one person of the 3 of you should be the official timekeeper and show those signals. Again, with original oratory, you have an aspect where the kids have written the speech. So like an English teacher, you might be able to comment on the writing. Clearly, we're not here for a writing, it's a speaking contest, but you might say something like, wow, I really love the beginning was wonderful, the way you talked about Ellis Island and the immigrants, and now you're talking about tap dancing elephants. I don't see the connection. Did I miss a transition, perhaps, right? So that's something that you might see in an original oratory to comment on as far as how the student uses platform movement, how they deliver their message, and all those things using their self in the room, okay? And that's 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Then the next category would be oral interpretation. Oral interpretation is poetry or prose. And we will flip a coin, let you know what that is in the live doc as to alternating rounds, poetry, prose, or prose, poetry, poetry. What happens here is the student has some sort of manuscript and they are reading, in quotes, my air quotes, reading, using basically their facial expressions, eye contact, vocal variety, volume, pausing, all those kind of building blocks of speech to bring this literature to life. So it could be a short story, it could be an excerpt for a novel, it could be an essay. It cannot be a play, okay? Plays are reserved for dramatic performance, but certainly they're going to have, maybe it's humorous, maybe it's serious, maybe it's a combination of the two. It may be a monologue where the person is just talking right to the audience, like Holden Caulfield would from Catcher in the Rye, or they may play different characters that have various focal points throughout the piece, okay? Obviously, they're using their face and their voice to bring this to life. The other side, poetry, could be one long poem, or it could be a series of poems by a theme or by one author, and they will identify at some point in the program who the authors are of these poems. Again, humorous or serious or a combination of the two, but they are using pretty much their face and pivoting. There is no back handsprings or high kicks in this one. That's, again, reserved for drama. This is more of a reading event, okay? Certainly, they can creatively use their script to help bring the story to life. If it's raining or they're driving a car, okay, that's up to the judge's preference, certainly. But it is, again, oral interpretation of literature, poetry or prose, that it'll alternate round to round. 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Students may ask to see the time signals, or they may not. You still should time them whether they ask or not, okay? After that, some fives is duo interpretation. There are two of them, we hope, and the two of them are going to be presenting a scene from a play or a movie or a book, whatever it is, and I love the NSDA where it says, and they transport you out of the room into the world they've created, right? So that's through their verbal and nonverbal interactions as characters, they're creating this world in this scene. Could be humorous, could be serious. They each could play one character. They each could play 100 characters. Again, how they kind of transport you into their world with these characters with wants and obstacles to overcome, whatever the piece may be. The trick is, of course, they don't look directly into each other's eyes as we might on a stage. They kind of present out two focal points given their character. They may look at each other, as the rule says, during an introduction or any transitional material that occurs during the speech. But at some times it's very clever because it looks like they might be looking towards each other, but they don't look directly into each other's eyes. It's more presentational, okay? Duo is a lot of fun to watch, and it's a very, very good event to see the two people kind of working. And realize, too, the writing of the piece sometimes it may not be 50-50 as far as the lines. We don't count, right? It's just how they work together as a team to bring that to life, right? And that's duo interp. Again, 10 minutes and 30 seconds. They may ask for time. They may not ask for time. Please make sure you cater if they do. The next would be declamation. It is the freshman and sophomore students. They are the babies, as Sister used to refer to them when I was trained years ago, decades ago. And they are pretty much using the building blocks of speech. They have been handed a speech, or they found a speech that someone else gave, whether it's a commencement speech, a famous speech, a TED Talk, whatever it might be. They have memorized this speech, and they are going to bring the message the author had in this speech to you using their freshman and sophomore self. To me, it's the basic training of speech and debate. Platform movement, vocal variety, facial expressions, volume, all of those things. How do they do that? And again, it's not impersonation. I don't become Ellen DeGeneres or become Indira Gandhi or become Patrick Henry. I take the message that their speech gives and I deliver it to you using my freshman or sophomore self. With declamation, again, it's 10 minutes and 30 seconds. They may ask for time. They may say we don't need to see time. Either way, we ask that someone does time to make sure they're in the rules, okay? That then leaves us to dramatic performance. Well, clearly, of all the events, this is the one that's the freest as far as movement. You might see your cartwheels here, right? With dramatic performance, the student has taken a selection from a play or a screenplay or a book, and they have, okay, I don't know what happened. What is the, oh, there was a whiteboard and it scared me. Mama? So what was I up to? Oh yeah. So drama. So it could be a monodrama where it's one character, or it could be 100 characters. It could be humorous or it could be serious. We don't separate in the NCFL, they are together. But here again, they're transporting you out of the room into the world they're creating with this character, using all the facial expressions, vocal variety, all of that. to bring it to life. Again, 10 minutes and 30 seconds. They may ask for time. They may say no time signals, but we ask that you cater to them. Okay. Again, everything is on the NCFL website itself, our competition events and bylaws with all the rules. I would ask this because one of my other hats I've worn is the protest hat back in the day. If you feel someone is doing something that's not legit or legal by the rules, the worst thing you can do is tap the judges to your left and right. Like, oh, this, it's not a play. No, keep it to yourself, rank it as you see it, and then come to the protest room or one of the people that are by the ballot check and ask. And then that way we will investigate to make sure with the coach that the stuff is legit, right? So it's just, we've had issues in the past of people talking to the judges and it kind of taints everything. Just if you think there's an issue, come and find somebody in the protest team, all right? That's the best way to handle it. And I think that pretty much ends my 2-star buck
And
spiel.
thank you, Tommy. We can also say about protests, if you're unclear, that's something you can certainly text the tab room. That number will be published on Friday. It won't start to be monitored until Saturday morning, but you can certainly text us to let us know, and we can direct you if there's something with that you need to file a protest or something that seems like we need to investigate further. Give you further instructions once you text us. I do want to also mention one thing I forgot to mention before. The start button this year is going to indicate not to press start until you are physically in the room. Where that's a little bit different than we've done in years past, those of you who have attended this tournament before, and it may be different than what you do locally. We are hoping that will help our checkers to prioritize those rooms that are reporting 3 judges are not in the room. And we'll still check the rooms that indicate that all 3 judges are present, but it'll just help us prioritize what rooms we need to go to first. So please make sure that you hit that button only once you are in the room for that round of competition. And again, judges who are there, and if you are missing a judge, the checkers will be around. You do not need to text us to let us know. If after, 10 minutes after the round was supposed to begin, 15 minutes after the round was supposed to begin, and a checker has not come into the room, then that's the time to text tab and say, I haven't seen a checker, we're missing a judge. It's possible that the checker missed the room, and obviously we would need to fix that. But give us, minimum 10 minutes, probably more like 15 minutes before that happens. And again, the checkers hopefully will get to you long before that point, because they'll see that there is a judge not checked in. So these things will work wonderfully if everybody is able to keep up with the differences this year compared to last year. So I think we're in a good spot. We have some great checkers. We have a great team working to keep the rounds moving. And we'll thank you as always ahead of time for doing your part, for supporting our students and helping us keep the day moving and moving smoothly. So we'll stay on. So if there are any,
hang on. So I want to go.
Go ahead.
So I also want to go through some of the technology questions that anticipate that people are going to have. Before I
Sure.
do that, though, I know the chat has been very active, and I think everything about the events has been answered in the chat. But I'm going to temporarily allow people to come off mute if anyone has a burning question that has not been answered yet about the events. Now is the time to ask that. And once we're done with that, we'll move on to just explaining some of how the technology works.
I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
So, and I was trying to read the chat as it was going through. As far as where we needed to be and where, like, would that be listed on tab room, where we're expected to be, or someplace else?
So once you see the events that you're judging, the easiest thing I think will be, it will tell you the building in the room. And on Friday night, I assume that the rooms are on that judge chart. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
The rooms will not be on the judge chart, but it will say which event, and each event is keyed to a specific building. So you'll at least know which building you're going to on Saturday morning.
And
Okay.
you can find those sites for event on ncflnationals.org.
Okay, so I apologize, I'm new to nationals. So Saturday morning, I need to look at like 7 a.m. and on the end. Tell me again, what site would I look to see where I'm going? Like on Saturday.
I'm gonna share my screen and show what all this is going to look like. So that'll make more sense. But this information will all be available to you Friday, so you don't have to scramble Saturday morning to figure out where you're going. Are there any other questions about events or logistics?
So you're going to show us your screen momentarily to show us what that looks like. That's in tab room.
Yes.
And then while you're looking at that, just a silly question. When you're giving the time signals to time down, count down, you like for speech for 10 minutes, you count down to where 0 is 10, but then you just know as a judge that they have 30 seconds grace, or do you actually count down to 10:30? Does that make sense?
You're counting down to 10, and typically confirm with each kid how they want to see time signals. If they ask for time signals, typically you'll hold up a fist at 10 or an extent at 7, and then they may want to see something to indicate that grace is about to end, but that's something you should confirm with each kid. But the end, as far as the fist at 10, is at 10 minutes, not 10:30.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Frank, if I can just add, because we are dealing with so many different buildings with so many different wireless systems, that I probably would recommend just emphasizing judges take notes on something with a hard drive or something that is dependable, and then copy and paste into the ballot. Just because, as you heard, we're in so many different individual schools, and each of them have their own IT departments. We don't know if one is more reliable than the other. So it would probably be good when you're taking notes, for those of you that are new, to do it on a Microsoft Word, a notepad, Apple Pages, something that if the wireless flickers or goes out, you're not going to lose all of your comments. That way they're there, they're safe, and then you can go and copy and paste them over.
So this is Rajesh here. This is my first time judging. So I have a question. So ballot has to be completed after the kid done, and then you start judging the next kid, right? So before next kid arrived, the ballot has to be complete, correct?
So the ballot is, I'll show you what a ballot actually looks like, and maybe that'll make things make a little bit more sense. But the whole ballot has to be completed after the round is over. So you're going to see 6 or 7 kids back to back. At the end of that, you're making your decision of how you want to rank them. And it's that ranking that we need as soon as possible once the round is over. And then you'll have more time. You'll have until the end of the tournament to finish writing your comments. And I'll show in a moment what that all looks like. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah. After I'm seeing, after I will see what you are going to show, I think that will explain everything. Yeah, well, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll take over the screen share. Okay. Hopefully you can all see my screen. Let me move this out of the way. So there's a number of important things that you'll need to keep in mind. Many local tournaments use different software to run it. We are running on tabroom.com. So you should, at this point, every judge, if you've gotten this invitation to the Zoom, you probably got it as a link from Tabroom. If not, you need to create an account on tabroom.com and make sure that that account is linked to your judging assignment. And that's something that the coach of the school you're affiliated with can help with. We also have on Tabroom, you can find the NCFL Grand National Tournament right here because it's this weekend. It's right at the top of the table. You can also type in ncfl.tabroom.com and it'll take you right to the landing page of this tournament. You'll find some useful information here about the tournament. You'll find the emails that we've sent out, information about the different sites. We haven't released any pairings yet because it's too early, but public pairings that are available to everyone will also show up here, as will the results when the tournament is further along. We mentioned a number of times ncflnationals.org. So that is the home page of the tournament. There are many, many bits of important information on here. So you should familiarize yourself with that website to get information about the tournament. The main channel of communication this weekend is going to be what we call the live doc. So there is a set of live docs for each group of events. This is the speech events live doc. We have not shared this link with everyone yet, so you're seeing it for the first time. This will be shared with everyone. We have information about the tournament, including all the important contact information. What are the sites you'll be going to? Someone I saw in the chat asked about things like the network information. So for each of these sites, we have how to get onto the network for that site. Just pulling up the chat. Some general instructions about each round. And there's a lot of questions about the schedule. So the schedule is in here. For the most part, the rounds are back to back with a lunch break in between. And Extemp, as Greg mentioned, is on a different schedule because they have to accommodate Extemp draw. We'll be posting the link to this training on this document. We have some general rules, and then we have the same overview of each of the events, similar to what Tom just went through before. I'm also going to show you what a ballot looks like and how you interact with it. So on the day of the tournament, when ballots are released to you, you will log into tabroom.com. And if you're logged into tabroom.com, at the top of the screen, you'll see your email here. You can always click on your email to get back to your judging assignments page. And you'll see a page here where you can see upcoming ballots. Upcoming ballots is going to look a little bit like this. I think this is a model of Tabroom, and I'll share this link so that you can play around with it. This is a totally fake ballot. The information you type in here will not go anywhere off your computer. It's just for you to get some practice using the software. I think that, this was created a few years ago. Today, this page looks a little bit different. Instead of being a long table, now it'll show up as a card, but similar idea. You'll see what round you're judging. There'll be an abbreviation. In this case, OBT stood for online ballot test, but you'll see something like DEC for declamation, EX for extemp, etc. Which round it is, what room you're going to. And we've tried to name all the rooms in a way that's intuitive so that especially if you're judging in one of the hotels, we'll try to tell you which floor you're going to, as well as which named room. And same thing for all of the colleges and schools. You'll have the start time, and you'll have a list of students in that round, and that list will be presented in code number order. You won't see their names on this page. You'll just see a list of 6 or 7 numbers. The idea being that this number 2661 represents one student. We have the ability to change what this button says. So for this tournament, as Greg said, this button will say in the room, and we ask that you press that button when you are physically in the room that you are supposed to be judging in. Once you click that button, it will take you into your ballot, which will look like this. Again, you'll see your list of speaker codes in order. This time you'll also see their names. We encourage at least one of the judges to take attendance and make sure that the kids that are sitting in the room are actually the kids you expect to see. Some of these numbers are very close to each other. Maybe they transpose the digit. Someone might wind up in the wrong room. So just confirm that the kids that are in the room with you are the kids you're expecting to judge. As we mentioned in a couple of times, you don't necessarily need to wait for all 6 or 7 of them to be there to start. If you're already at the 9 o'clock start time and you're missing someone, you can start without them. But definitely don't start the round if there's a kid in the room that's not on your ballot. That kid is probably in the wrong place and needs to figure out what the right place that they should go to is. There's a place for you to type in their title or their question. So title in the case of the interp or oratory events, question in the case of extemp. There's a place for ranks. I believe at this tournament, we do not use speaker points. Yeah, right. So this column will not be here for this tournament. So there'll just be a place for ranks. And then at the bottom of the screen is the place where you can give feedback. So as we've said a moment ago, highly, highly recommend that you do not use this space to draft your feedback. It's a much better idea to have Microsoft Word or Notepad or Apple or any of those other softwares to type into this box, and then to type in, and then you can copy and paste into here. By default, when you land on this page, you're on a screen called for everyone. So if you type any comments into this box, those comments will go to all of the competitors. So things to put in that box are general comments about the round. Sometimes judges will say things like, oh, in oratory, I tend to favor these types of speeches. You all did a great job. Congratulations for making it to nationals, etc. These are general comments that go to everyone. Most of what you write, though, is going to be targeted to specific students. So there's a drop-down where you can pick each individual student. So after Sylvia has finished speaking, you can come in here and say, for Sylvia, these are my comments. And I think, Sue, I think that's the question you were just asking. So you can select a specific student and write in the comments for that student. But again, don't write them in here, write them somewhere else. And then when the students finish speaking, you can copy and paste into here. Just some questions in the chat. No, so you can start the round at the scheduled start time. If you're missing someone, get started. And it's if the missing student isn't there by 10 minutes after the scheduled start time, that's when you start sending messages to Tab, and we'll try to track down that student. Once the round is over, you will come in here to rank your students. I'm going to have to type in points into this example. For the actual day of the tournament, there will not be any points. Question about speaking order. So the order should be the order they appear on their ballot. Again, like if hypothetically Sylvia was missing, but you had everyone else, it's okay to start with Carlos, and Sylvia can speak when she arrives. But in general, this should be the order they will speak. And in extemp, they will absolutely come to you in this order, guaranteed. That's the order the prep room will send them to you. So when the round is over, you'll finish your ranks. I'm going to have to type in some numbers into this points just to be able to move forward, but you will not have to provide speaker points at the NCFL tournament. But let's say that we were ranking this, and you would rank first being the person you think is best, second being second best, all the way down to sixth being sixth best or seventh best, depending on how many students are in the room. So let's imagine we say Sylvia was 3, Carlos was 2, Fletcher was 1, maybe this Dulcie was 4, Joy was 5, and Christopher was 6. I'm going to type in some points. The points do not matter, but I need to type in something to make this all fit. So I'm going to give some very generous speaker points because usually we don't give points that high. Again, on Saturday and Sunday, you will not see a column to type in speaker points. So then I submit the ballot. Next thing it's going to do is it's going to ask you to confirm your ballot. So what you see here is no longer the order they spoke in. This is the order that you ranked them in. This confuses people sometimes. So you want to look at this and say, yes, I can confirm that Fletcher, I think, was the best in that round. I thought Carlos was the second best in that round. Sylvia was third. Dulcie, Joy, Christopher. Yes, that is the order that I wanted to rank. If you're looking at this and you say, you know, I was a little bit on the fence, and now that I think about it again, maybe I should switch Sylvia and Dulcie. You can hit the red button and go back to your ballot and correct that. So we can say maybe Sylvia is 4th and Dulcie is 3rd instead. And just for this example, I have to also adjust the points. You will not need to do that on Saturday, but I will make that change. Submit the ballot, look at this again. Okay, yes, definitely Fletcher, Carlos, Dulcie, Sylvia, Joy, Christopher. That is the order that I wanted to rank people in. And you can click the green button, and that finishes your obligation for that round. We ask that you enter and confirm your ballot as soon as possible after the last person has finished speaking, and definitely before you go to your next round or start your next round. Your comments, though, you're able to see your past ballots here on the same page. You click your email, you'll see current ballots, and at the bottom of the screen now you'll see your previously entered ballots, and you can click edit feedback to come to a screen where you can once again type in and edit their comments for each of the individual students. This you can do up until the end of the tournament, which will be the 7:30 p.m. Chicago time for the award ceremony. Another important thing to know about Tab Room. In the old days, those of you who have been using Tab Room for years, Tab Room would send out text messages. It still attempts to send out text messages, but they have become notoriously unreliable, and we recommend that you don't rely on the text messages. Instead, there's a new mechanism for getting notification from Tab Room through your browser. You can set this up on both your computer or your phone. At the top right of the screen, there's this bell icon that you can click to set up, and it will allow you to turn on push notifications that will show up in your phone's notifications so that you'll get messages from Tab Room. In general, though, the notifications are a courtesy. We'll publish the judge chart, which will tell you when you should expect to be judging. Oh, and yeah, and I'll show an example of what a judge chart looks like as well. And we ask that you proactively check your account around the half an hour before each scheduled round time to see if you are judging. Don't rely on those notifications from Tab Room. Be proactive in checking if you know you're scheduled to judge that round. So let me just show you an example of what a judge chart will look like. This is very not official. Do not screenshot this or think that this is your assignment. This is subject to change, but I will show what this looks like. So we want the judge chart for speech by name. It's going to take a moment to generate just because there's so many of you. So this is what it will look like. Again, ignore the actual names or the columns, but you will see your name sorted by last name. I'm not quite sure this should be sorted by last name. I'm not quite sure what's going on with these first two names at the top of the list, but you'll see your name and you'll see across the board which events you're judging. So in this case, this person tentatively, again, this is subject to change. Do not rely on this information for anything other than illustrative purposes. This person is judging duo for the first two slots at 8 o'clock and 9:45, and then OI for the second two slots at 1:15 and 3. Whereas this person is in declamation for the first two slots and oratory for the second two slots. And you'll be able to see from NCFL site or on the live doc which buildings duo is in versus deck versus OO versus all of the events. So we will publish the actual version of this by Friday once we're done making all the adjustments to the schedule based on any last minute registration changes. I saw a question in the chat. There is no app for Tab Room, but it works very well on mobile. In fact, I've even helped run tournaments while walking around with my phone in my hand and pairing rounds and things like that. Tab Room works fairly well on mobile, but there is no dedicated app for Tab Room, just the website. Question about seeing conflicts listed. Are you judging for your daughter's school? If that is the case, then there won't be an explicit conflict against people from your own school. Everyone's implicitly conflicted against their own schools. If you're judging for a different school than what your daughter attends, then definitely contact your coach and they can have Tab Room record the conflict for you.
Got it. Thanks.
And Frank, if I can just clarify a couple things. If you're missing a student, by all means, please start the round. You don't need to text us 10 minutes. I would say if the round is halfway over and that student still has not appeared, that would probably be the time to text us. So maybe after the third speaker, if one of the judges could just drop us a text, let us know that the student is missing from the round. But again, because of the site's students might get, especially early in the day or coming back from lunch, might get delayed. So just to try to prevent some, text messages that sometimes we get at 9:10, and then at 9:12 the student comes walking in the room. So if we maybe wait until after the, about halfway through the round to let us know that a student is missing. Also, I should have mentioned before, if a student chooses to wear a mask, that is perfectly fine. They can wear the mask in the round. They can wear the mask during the performance. There should be no comments on the ballot about the student's choice to wear the mask. And we are allowing again this year, if students do want to leave the room after their performance is over, they are allowed to do that. So if a student, for whatever reason doesn't feel comfortable staying until the end of the round, please allow them to excuse themselves without penalty and without comment on the ballot. That is allowed again this year. And again, I think if you have some questions, we are more than happy to stick around. But if you are feeling good, I was hoping to keep this at an hour, and it looks like I am a minute over. So safe travels to everyone that is headed to Chicago, either tomorrow or Friday. We are hoping for good weather. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it and appreciate all you will do this weekend for our students. And again, we will stay, answer some questions if anybody still has it. But at this point, we'll consider that we're done. Say thank you very much. Have a good evening, and we will see you in Chicago.
Yep, thank you all. And I think there is one question in the chat about observers. Observers on Saturday, observers are allowed, but everyone in the room must agree for the observer to participate. If there is one person who's not comfortable having an observer on Saturday, they have the right to say, we prefer not to have observers. On Sunday, though, the elim rounds are open as long as there are enough seats for the observer. The only requirement is that every observer needs to be in a seat. We can't have people standing room only.
And one more, just to clarify, you said that there's no penalty for them to leave early. I presume you also meant if they do end up showing late because of whatever reason, there's no penalty for that either, correct?
That is correct. Yes, there's no penalty.
Great.
We assume level, if you get lost, you're probably you're having a bad enough day as it is.
Right, exactly.
Hi, I'm going to clarify just one more time, just to make sure I'm good. The judge or the judge form, the judge doc that you were talking about, will be posted on Friday, and that's on the live. It's on the live doc, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and then and just check that. Don't rely on the blasts that are coming out of tab room, correct?
Well,
so if you get a blast, the blast is correct. But if you don't get a blast, proactively check your account, because it's possible that the blast was delayed and you do have a round.
Okay. And then, so there are 4 rounds. So like the pool thing that you're talking about, like it's reading, I don't even know where it went. It's reading like 1 IE Octos Saturday EXT DECOO. I'm guessing it's extemporis something and oral interpretive.
Yeah, so that means on Saturday you're in that group that's either judging those 3 events, and you'll be judging one of them in the morning and another one in the afternoon, up from that list of 3 events.
Okay.
And then it sounds like you're also in a pool for the Sunday elimination rounds. So those we won't know. We have no idea who's going to be judging those rounds, because we don't know which students are going to qualify for them. So those will be announced once we have more idea of who's advancing into those elimination rounds.
Super. And that was my second question, was events on Sunday. If you how you would know if there was a way to know. But I don't fly out until Monday, so we're good.
Yep. So again,
Great.
if you are in the pool for, say, I think you said the Octo round. So we'll post a schedule for the round. So at half an hour before the scheduled round, also check tab room to see if we ended up using you from that pool.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
And also, just to clarify, everything on Sunday is in the Hilton, the speech. So you won't be around the city anymore on Sunday. It'll all be in one place at the Hilton.
Okay. Good to know. And those shuttles are you still running, even though there's not events on other things, are you still running a shuttle like from Palmer to Hilton on Sunday?
Yes, probably not as many and probably infrequent, but there will be shuttles again on Sunday.
Okay. Okay, good. Because I don't want to try to have to navigate around Chicago or, you know what I mean, inadvertently get lost or something.
I can tell you a straight line from the Hilton to the Palmer House and back, and all of the sites are between the two hotels.
Okay, great.
So it's almost, I mean, I wouldn't put it past a few of my friends who are directionally challenged, but it's almost impossible to get lost.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I don't know if it was mandatory to complete all the training and on the website like I did. I don't know if that's mandatory. Is there anything else beyond that that's required to have completed?
I
Okay.
think so the training, I think you're probably also going to the NSDA Nationals in Des Moines.
No, just it just popped up about like judge certifications and
yeah, those are put out by the other national tournament organization. There is, for this tournament, the thing we do ask you to complete, there's an implicit bias judge training. So that's the one that's required for this tournament.
okay, yep, and that's all. I'm all done with that one too. And when you do check, like, does it make anything difference, like any difference if you're identifying as a diversity enhancing judge? Like there's a place on the tab room, like it says additional information. Do you identify as a diversity enhancing judge? I mean, does that make a difference? It doesn't make a difference, right?
I don't think a huge difference. I do think they try to look at that as much as they can, but not everybody checks it off either. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. You know, I would encourage people to check the box if they're comfortable doing so.
Sure. Okay, great. Appreciate your time, gentlemen. Have a great see you this weekend. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Other questions in chat. Where can I find additional training on the website? So if you're talking about training for specific events, so that's not going to be on the NCFL national site. That's going to be on ncfl.org. I'm going to paste a link into the chat. And the official rules for each event are in the bylaws. So I'll paste a link to the bylaws. And at the bottom of the live doc, when the live doc is published, we'll also have not the official rules, but some judging advice for each event, as well as sample critique sheets, which suggest some of the things you might want to consider in each of those events. And then if another judge is doing something inappropriate, do you want us to text tab room? Yes, please. I think it definitely let us know and be. I think we didn't necessarily mention this before, but when you do text us, please give us as much information as you can in that first text message, like what room you're in, who you are, who the person concerned is. It helps us know what's going on, and then we don't have to ask you a bunch of follow-up questions immediately. Are there any other questions?
I do have one. So I'm a judge, and my daughter is also participating in the event. She's the only student from the school, and I'm judging. She's probably a tech candidate. I'm judging other events. So how does the logistics work in that case? Like, would she be in a different building, and I would be in a different building, or how does it work? Or is there like a map or something that she could use? What's the best way to manage that?
So she's going to be in whichever event she's competing in. She will be in that building all day.
Okay.
It is definitely possible you may be in a different building for parts of all of the day, but everything will be clustered around one of the two hotels. So you can work out with her where to meet up in between rounds or things like that.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Yes, you're definitely allowed to judge the same category as your child. You're just not allowed to judge your child. And in generally, you're not allowed to judge people from the school that's bringing you here as a judge.
Or actually the diocese too.
Or,
So
okay, diocese.
if you're from Newark, you won't see anybody else from Newark.
Any other questions?
I do have another question. And I saw someone was asking this in the chat and I couldn't exactly see. She said that she was looking, or he said he was looking under tab room, and all we see is a list of the judges, let's say under speech. And then
That's
it
me.
said, okay, hi. And then it said the answer was to look. What was the answer to? I don't understand where I'm
To look,
supposed
yeah, to look under profile and current ballots, but I cannot find it either.
Okay.
Frank, can you show where those buttons are on your tab room simulation?
I don't have, on my simulation, I don't have pools set up for that. I don't actually know what that looks like from the judge side. Are you able
What
to
I think
show
they're doing
something?
is they're clicking on the, actually, let me share my screen.
I can do it. You guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can do it. So here, let me just get to. So when you go to tabroom.com and you click on your email address on the top here towards the right, you'll see the screen. And then over here, there's links that say upcoming. And if I click on that, it will show your upcoming events. And because I'm working in tab, I don't have anything listed, but you should have the pools that you're in. So speech, it would show either the extemp OO or DEC as one pool, or a DPOI duo as the other pool. And if you're in any elimination pools on Sunday, they also should show as an upcoming as well. And then on Saturday, once the ballots are released for each round, all you'll need to do is to click your email on the top here, and the ballot will automatically come up on this front page. You won't have to go anyplace else. So if you have an 8 a.m. round and you click on your email address at 7:30, your 8 a.m. round will pop right up here, and it'll be very easy to see. And the button will be there that will say, I'm in the room. Once you get in the room, click that button and it will open the ballot for you. Does that help?
So, Greg, it does, except your screen that you started with that was kind of blank and didn't have anything like on the right-hand side. That's what mine looks like right now.
Right. So this one right here.
Yes.
So you have any pools listed?
Correct.
All right. Well, let me look you up and see. Chelsea, your name rings a bell. I wonder if. Oh, I have to go on the term. That would be helpful. Yes, you know what? You were the one. I knew you sounded familiar.
I know. There were some other issues that I'm wondering if maybe
about you today. So you know what?
Yep.
You don't. So it's weird, but you're not seeing the pool that you're in.
Yeah, like if I go to a different section, like if instead I go and find my way through like that link, the NCFL Tavern link, and then I click on judges, and then I look for through the various lists on the right-hand side, I'm in there under whatever IE is, but that's why I was confused about the pool part.
IE is individual events. It's speech. It's just an abbreviation for speech. Tell me this, what's the email address or does the email address at the top of your page, does it end in @luc.edu?
Yes.
Okay, that was my first thing, wondering if maybe you had a different tab room account.
Well, I've got something that kind of ties in. I just checked my tab room and all that shows up is NSDA stuff. No NCFL stuff shows up when I click on that thing you just told me to click on.
I do know it's there because I had one of my judges check to make sure that it could be seen, and he found it.
The person who just spoke, what's your last name? I can look you up also.
The Phelps, PHELPS.
let me,
Kansas City, St. Joe. I see, clicking on so judging upcoming, and I see NCFL Grand. Oh, there it is. It's just at the top. I just got distracted by the bottom. But nothing's there. Nothing. Oh, pools. The little. It's verbiage right there in the little box. Is what you're saying. One IE Octos.
Oh wait, actually, that helped me find it too. I can find it now.
And then IE finals Saturday. I don't understand it, but it has words there. I guess it starts with the out rounds, octos, quarters, semis, finals, and then comma Saturday. What are things? Okay, I'm good. Thanks. Sorry to confuse you.
that's okay. And
Confuse me.
it's a little bit of a challenge for us sometimes because we don't see it because it shows us different screens when we're there as tournament officials. So
I gotcha.
And I apologize. I was trying to find mine at the same time that you were just getting these other folks through. I'm now in and it also is blank, but where's the secret place that they just discovered where they're supposed to click?
I think on that right-hand side, when you click on your email,
Yeah.
and on the right side, I believe
Or can
one.
one of the
right
people
si-
who's been able to,
The right side is blank. It's on the left side underneath your name and all the words there. There's
Yeah,
just
it says
can one
like
of the people who's been able to see it, I just enabled screen sharing for participants. Can someone share their screen to show what it looks like from the judge
I
side?
can.
Oh, I see. It's listed
yeah,
under your
it's
name,
like
the date, the school.
it's this, right?
Oh, exactly. Yes.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
And so mine just says 2, 3, 4. That means I'm on standby for round 1.
No, that shouldn't be out there yet.
Oh.
Because actually, I actually just put you in today, Chelsea, after talking to Barbara. That's why your name rang a bell. So you actually don't have rounds yet. Don't worry, you will. As Charlie is in the middle of balancing. So yeah, so that's why.
Oh, but this is someone else. I'm sorry. This is not the woman that you were speaking to just now that was not, that rang a bell. This is someone else. My name's Karen. So I found where it says under my name, the pools, and it says 2. Oh, but yeah, this doesn't make sense. It says quarters, semis, finals. Are these just placeholders maybe?
Yeah, so you are in those pools on Sunday. So the
Got
quarter
it.
finals are the Sunday one. The one that you need to pay attention to on Saturday is either the duo OI DP one or the deck.
And it was a little misleading on mine. Saturday's listed at the very end. It starts with the
Right.
Sunday rounds.
It's in it's in alphabetical order by the pool names. We don't have control over that.
Got it. Okay, so Saturday EXT is that extemp, deck, and original oratory?
Exactly.
Oh dear. Gotta brush up on my current events. Okay.
Well, if the students in extemp do a good job, they should give you a pretty broad overview of what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's their job.
Yes, but how would I know to judge properly?
You're not there to fact check them. You're there to judge how persuasive they are, how good they put their argument together.
Okay, that's good. That's helpful. Reminders. It's been a long time since I've been involved in forensics. Okay, great. Thank you all, gentlemen, so much. This was helpful.
You're very welcome.
One
And
last
thank
question.
you to the other lady, Chelsea, who validated me from not understanding it originally as well.
You had mentioned the meeting. Sorry, you had mentioned the meeting on Friday. Is it basically just going to be an overview of what we talked about tonight?
Yes, it is. And actually maybe not even that much. It's more going to be, hi, do you have any questions?
Okay, great. So that's not something like, so if we came tonight, don't worry about that one.
Absolutely.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Robert, octos is what we call octofinals. So we break to the top 48 and they are in, there are 8 different sections. of 6. So they call them octos because there's 8 sections.
May I ask a stupid question?
Go ahead.
Just my kids keep asking me how many rounds of debate on site. It's 4 rounds like a normal kind of tournament.
No, debate is 5 rounds on
5
Saturday.
rounds.
And then there is a play-in round for all except for policy. And then all the debates go to double octos, octos, quarters, semis, and finals.
But they break to the play-in round, right?
Yes, some will advance directly to doubles, and some students will be in the.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Hi, yes, I did look and find the upcoming judging, but when we were going through the demonstration, there was a tab on the right-hand side that someone clicked on for upcoming event. I'm not seeing that at all. Am I not supposed to see that yet, or I don't understand?
Is it possible that you have it? So that tab does collapse. It's possible you might have accidentally collapsed it. Do you see on the right-hand side, there might be teeny tiny at the top right, 2 arrows pointing to the left?
I see 2 arrows pointing to the right.
If you click that, does anything change?
Everything disappeared that was pertinent. I think I can share my screen.
Okay,
I
sure.
can put up on one moment, please. I'm not sure how to share screen on this. Oh, phooey.
There should be a button at the bottom of the Zoom window. It's a rectangle with an arrow pointing up.
I see lots of buttons. Apps, companion, oh, share. Thank you. Got a little overwhelmed for a moment. My apologies.
We're here to help.
Thank you. So this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So you won't see any more information about this tournament until we actually publish ballots. But see on the right-hand side, it says judging and upcoming. So that's what a normal judge, that's what you should expect to see. I think when Greg was sharing his screen, Greg's also a head coach from a school. So a head coach from a school will see a lot more things. And I'm a volunteer for the tournament, so I'll see a few more things about this specific tournament. But this is normal for this stage of the tournament. So this is the page you'll come to. And when you actually have ballots, they'll show up on this same page.
Okay, thank you. I saw a whole bunch of more options on the right, and I
depending on what your role for the tournament is, you may see slightly different screens.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
I'm going to ask a follow-up question since that 5-round question. Where would I have found that? Is there like a manual or I searched everywhere I thought I could find to see how the structure was, because the schedule just says rounds 1, lunch rounds 2, and then it just says all the rest of the day. It doesn't only break it down one by one by one by one.
So I mean, we will. The schedule for the debate rounds will also be in the debate live docs, but I do believe the number of rounds is something that's said in the bylaws.
In the bylaws. So where would I find? Is that on NCFL website or something? I should have found it.
Yeah, okay. I pasted the link earlier.
Well, since I've already put it in, is that the same with speech rounds? Is it 5 rounds or?
No, speech is actually 4 rounds on, and then 4 rounds on Sunday, octos, quarters.
I wasn't totally confused. All right, good. Thanks. I'll do a better job hunting.
There's a lot of information.
Okay, down to the last 24 people. Are there any final questions?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you for coming.
What was it that you said was going to be published on Friday evening? Is that
the judge chart? That will tell you right now, you know which sets of events you're judging. That will actually tell you which time slots you're expecting to judge and which specific events you're judging. So it'll tell you you're judging or maybe the 2 rounds of oratory and then 2 rounds of extemp, or it'll tell you which times you're expecting to judge.
Got it. Right now, what we were just looking at on tab room is just generically giving us a sense of which events.
Right, and so you'll know which cluster of buildings you'll be in.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, this is Eric. May I have a quick question?
Sure.
Yeah, it's just I was reading the deck. Like I noticed this all speech events like extemp or deck they are spread into different like locations, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I know like based on my previous experience, sometimes could be hard to find a room. I just wondering if there's any kind of volunteer, anyone in each building to guide us if
Yeah,
we have
so
any
there
question.
should be people from the Chicago CFL all around. They'll be dressed in blue shirts with the tournament logo on them. There will be
Mhm.
people around, and then there will also be tab staff hovering around each building as room checkers that should be able to help you if you get lost.
Okay, so but should be some detailed map showing which room is it, which level, something like that, right?
We have maps for the hotels. We do not have maps for the colleges or the high schools. That's a lot of times these don't publish any kinds of maps.
Okay.
But there will be people around to help direct traffic.
Mhm. Okay, maybe we should get, okay, got it. Thank you.
Oh yeah, and same question in the chat. So unfortunately, we were not able to get maps for the school locations. In general, a lot of schools don't publish maps these days because of security concerns and various other considerations. Any other questions? Not hearing any others. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you all for judging. We couldn't do this tournament without you, and we will see you in Chicago.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. See you in Chicago.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.